It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on podcasts everywhere, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Today we're going to be talking about the TikTok case with Joseph Warren and Shannon Roberta San Antonio Salmon-Haas. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Shannon and I really wanted to get your take on the TikTok case since you're a TikToker as well.
Yes. Made a few TikTok videos. I think it's a powerful platform. And my personal opinion of what I think is going to happen is that it's not going to get banned, or that it's going to be banned only temporarily, because Trump is very friendly to TikTok. It actually is part of what helped him to get elected. So I think there might be some regulations and changes with TikTok, but I don't think they're going to get banned, in my
Interesting. Opinion. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you make TikTok videos? What do you do for a living?
I'm a financial planner, so I help people make great decisions, the best decisions possible with their money, so they can achieve what they want to achieve. And TikTok is a powerful way to educate people, put entertaining content out there about finances that can help people make good decisions with their budgeting, tax planning, investing, things like that.
How can people find you on TikTok? What do you call yourself there?
On any platform, you can find me just by searching my name. So my handle on TikTok is Joseph D. Warren, and you'll see me there. A younger version of me before I had my daughter. I'll probably look a little bit different, probably gain a little bit of weight. But
yeah, there's another Joseph Warren that is a historical figure that I ran across on the internet when I was trying to research your background.
That's why I put the Daniel, the D, that's D for Daniel, in there because, he overshadows Joseph Warren. So I do all my social media marketing with Joseph D. Warren.
Okay.
And I like the way it sounds, too.
Me too, yeah.
There you go. Right, more official.
Yeah.
Shannon, tell us about how you're following the TikTok case.
Well, we listened to the argument together, so that was fascinating.
Yes, you and me, we were on Insta Live yesterday.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court heard oral arguments on both sides, the government and the lawyers for TikTok and ByteDance.
Right.
And
did you see that?
Can people find that video?
I didn't post it, but I can. I can post it.
Come on.
You want me to?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay, I'll do it. God bless. Well, it's the first time I ever did a live like that, so I wasn't. I mean, you know me. I have I'm not super tech savvy, but yeah, if it looks good, it's still there.
I didn't realize that a live video evaporated after.
It gives you a choice. After you do a live, you can say publish, or it'll just archive it, or at least on mine it does. And so I just went ahead and archived it, but I'll get it out. I'll resurrect it just for you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the audience wants to know what we were talking about.
Oh, I'm sure. They're just, how can they live without this? But seriously, it was very interesting, I thought. The whole argument. Did you realize that the creators have an attorney also? So there's three attorneys. You have.
Well, I ran across a YouTube video of a press conference following the oral arguments. TikTok had this press conference, and I didn't know what they meant by the creators.
Right. Cool. What did you first think when you heard the creators?
I didn't know if it was some other party to the case.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the creator. Where can people find you on TikTok?
I'm the Todd Father on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah. The Todd Father?
I think so. I'm worried about the national security threat.
Yeah.
And so I don't want China to have too much information about me and my contacts.
Right. So you haven't posted your viral dance moves yet.
Although we should do the one with us wearing the space blanket as a cape, like we're superheroes, And then we can collect some of those space blankets for the cold people.
For your thermal underwear drive.
Yeah.
That's happening right now that people can bring.
It still is. You can still donate because it's still cold. Yeah. People would still appreciate being warmed.
I have a couple questions. When are we going to do this? And how do we find a tiny little suit for Lexi? Like, where do we get it?
Those are all good questions. We'll have to talk to my assistant, Sarah.
Okay. But seriously, I want to do that.
Okay.
I guess we'll wait and see what they decide. Yeah. If not, we can do it on Lemon 8. I've heard from my daughter that's the TikTok alternative that people are going to. Lemon 8. Lemon 8. But it's owned by China also, so...
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm confused why that's okay, but TikTok is going...
Well, it might not be okay.
Yeah. And that was a really good argument that the TikTok lawyer had, was the slippery slope argument, that there's a lot of companies that are owned by foreign powers. Mm-hmm. So where do we stop? He mentioned AMC, Politico, Al Jazeera, So where does this end? Yeah. If it's okay here.
Well, I wanted Joseph to talk about what the investors and financial markets think about the government banning a certain business.
Yeah. Well, I think it sets an interesting precedent, and it might be, I don't think it'll be tough for all companies, but I think it's going to be tough on Chinese companies or companies of countries that we see as adversarial to ourselves. So that's, I think, the era we're in already with tariffs and things like that. But you're going to see, of course, American companies like Ford, they're not going to care. But Chinese social media companies are definitely going to care. Mm-hmm. There's also another interesting precedent, which way back in 2008, China was blocking Facebook and blocking Google.
Right.
So it is sort of like we're doing exactly what they're doing, but 15 years later. So they have a lot of data on us and AI and a lot of interesting algorithmic data that they can use potentially against certain people.
You know what I heard about a few years ago is that there was a Chinese company that was collecting all of the images of people all over the world and storing it. And there was some concern about that they had all of our faces.
I think Pokemon Go, too, they were saying they were mapping indoor spaces with that, which sounds innocent, but then you think about that could be a huge security. If you're doing that in the Pentagon, it's a huge security risk.
Yeah.
So, but then we got to think, should we have the same standards as China, or are we more of a free market? Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of on the fence on it. I mean, I think it's a powerful platform. Maybe we need to regulate it, but I wouldn't be distraught if they banned it. I just don't think it's going to happen, though, in my opinion.
Shannon, why don't you tell us what are the free speech arguments that it should not be banned because it violates the freedom of speech?
Well, as a society, we've gotten really used to freedom of speech. I think sometimes we take it for granted. Mm-hmm. But if you really stop and think about it, it's gigantic. I mean, this is one of our very crucial things that makes us a free country. So we're correct as a nation to be giving this very high scrutiny, and they have a term that the court uses, which is strict scrutiny. And so what happens in the courts is if the government is trying to infringe, then if they determine that the strict scrutiny needs to apply, then it shifts the burden, and the government has to prove that it's not unconstitutional. Does that make sense? It's a real deep dive if you want to babble on about that, which I do not at this moment.
Right.
But they are correct to really put this under the microscope's eye and really, really analyze this, because it has huge implications. The slippery slope argument that the TikTok attorney was making is a really valid one. Where does it stop? Can they stop AMC from showing movies that they don't like because AMC is not owned by the United States? I mean, where does this end? So one of the very first cases that first mentioned freedom of speech was actually a Methodist minister in Maryland giving a speech that was anti-slavery. And so it was very unpopular at that time, and he said that slavery was a national sin. And the local authorities did not like that, and they arrested him.
They said he was going to create a insurrection.
And he did. I mean, he did create a riot. I mean, they were correct. So in other words, fast forward that a billion times to where we're at right now. I mean, yes, TikTok could be making a problem, but your right to free speech is so crucial to the health of our nation that sometimes that balance, it has to swing to the side of First Amendment. And I personally am that kind of person that I hope I don't piss everybody off, but I would go out there and create a blockade to let Nazis walk down the street and do their little thing, because that's how firmly I believe in the First Amendment. They have a right. I think they're completely insane and they're wrong, but we live in a country that says you have the right to even your crazy
And
ideas.
I had no prior warning that Shannon was going to bring Nazis
Oh,
into
please
this.
forgive me. Yes, I'm sorry. You don't condone anything I say in any way. No.
I did want to find out, how did Goodfellas come into
Yes,
this?
isn't that interesting?
Well, I'm lost.
Well, one of the very first cases that the TikTok attorney, and I'm sorry I keep calling him that, he has a name, Noel.
Yeah, well, we don't need to
Francisco.
promote him.
But he's very interesting if you want to Google
He'll
him.
have to pay to be on the show.
So one of the very first cases that he referenced as part of his argument was a Simon and Schuster case, because there had been a person that was his name was Henry Hill, and he was selling his story. So he made a ton of money, obviously. And then the government said, you have to put money aside because you earned all this money by criminal activity. So make a little fund for crime victims in case they want to come sue you. And he sued and he said, no, that's unconstitutional. You can't infringe my rights like that. And that Henry Hill, that's the Goodfellas guy. Have you ever seen Goodfellas?
Yes.
So that's him. And so that Simon and Schuster case is obviously a huge deal, that the TikTok lawyer would be saying, look, judges, you can't do this. You already said you can't do this. And here's the perfect example. Here's the precedent. So you can't do it there. You can't do it here.
Well, can I talk about the national security threats?
Of course.
Yeah.
The show is called the Todd Marquardt Show.
Well, the government brought this law. I mean, both houses of Congress and the Senate and both parties and the president all agreed that there was a national security threat.
Good point.
And so I asked Chat GPT, what are they talking about?
Right.
Because not every news article has a long list of everything that the government was talking about. Mm-hmm. And so I had to ask AI for some help to find it.
Right.
And I found that there's data privacy and access. There's influence on operations and misinformation, content moderation and censorship. See, the argument is that the U.S. government says China has influence over ByteDance and TikTok.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And when I just have to talk a little bit about that press conference I saw after the oral arguments, the attorneys, who I don't remember their names and I'm not going to promote them.
Okay.
They went into great detail about where these companies were formed and who actually owns these companies. Yeah. And I think that all of that is good for them to talk about. Mm-hmm. But the U.S. government knows that there's a puppet master behind all of those things.
Right.
And that's the Communist Party of China.
Right, mm-hmm. Right.
So that's why
Agreed.
all of these things are national security threats.
Yeah.
Did you see anything about secret evidence that the reason, because I thought you made such a brilliant point, Todd. That was one of my favorite things that you've said about this whole thing was, look, they can't agree about anything.
Right.
And this is a bipartisan ban.
Right.
Wow.
I really love that, really summarized it for me. Have you heard anything about there was secret evidence that they have seen that nobody else has seen?
But if somebody in our audience knows where to find this secret evidence, please
they couldn't tell
email
us.
me at host@talklawradio.com.
Anonymously.
Yeah,
They'll lose their security clearance, Todd.
Well, I
Come
can
on now.
keep a secret. I mean, the media is protected.
Yeah. By the First Amendment.
That's right. It all circles back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Joseph, tell us, what do you think is important about TikTok for investors and
I think
your line of work?
I mean, there's a lot of, I would call them copycats. They copied TikTok's model. You have YouTube Shorts, Reels, and it's the same thing. So I don't think you need TikTok necessarily. the data privacy concerns still exist with American companies as well. Like Facebook has a lot of access to your data. And I think even if you ban them, it doesn't really stop the problem. It's like plugging one hole, but there's a bunch of holes on the ship.
Yeah.
Because foreign countries, adversary countries like Russia, China, can buy ads on Facebook.
Well, somebody
and they can sow discontent.
Yeah, somebody was suggesting China could just pay Zuckerberg for all of the data that he has.
Yeah, things like that.
There's nothing outlawing him from selling all of our data, is there?
I'm not sure. I don't know the law. I wish I did. But even with that being said, I mean, the situation is bigger than just TikTok, which is a very powerful technology that does get a lot of access to sensitive information. I think even government employees aren't allowed to use it anymore.
Right.
So,
yeah, that was in one of the executive orders, maybe even by Trump back when he was president the first time.
Yeah. But I don't know if it is a free speech thing, because I don't think AMC is the same level of TikTok in terms of getting dangerous information about people and getting like really deep behavioral information on potentially important people in the United States. So,
well, it can be a sort of warfare.
Yeah.
I heard that there's another version of TikTok in China, and they don't show children videos of silly things, nonsense. They only show educational things. Yeah. And so they're teaching their children valuable things that are going to make them productive.
And our kids are over here doing the Dougie.
Yeah, right. They're trying to make us dumb.
Huh. What an interesting perspective.
Now, I'm not saying everybody that makes a video on TikTok is doing something dumb, but there probably are a lot of them, like millions or tens of millions of videos that are dumb.
What did you think of the argument that, look, we're too big, we physically are incapable of selling? You're not really grasping how big we are.
I don't think that that's a good argument, because banks are global. And banks can be bought and sold, and they are.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it really made me think of, like, it kind of blew my mind how big they are. When the lawyer for TikTok was talking about, look, he's using big words like algorithm and, all these words, like just how TikTok actually functions and how global it is, how huge it is. He was basically saying, we are so big, we can't sell this thing. You're not understanding what it would take to dismantle this thing and sell it. Mm-hmm. Little silly Supreme Court justice.
Well, you can sell the TikTok company, or you can be banned. So, Joseph, do you use social media as a way to teach people how to save their money?
Yes, I've done it on TikTok, YouTube, yeah.
So what's a good video that you made that you want people to check out?
I think my recent YouTube video, very educational, and it's all about assets to invest in. And some of them were, if you look at the time stamp when I made it, they've done really well. For instance, Bitcoin was one that probably doubled since I talked about it.
Oh, really?
In that video. And I literally named, not saying this is investment advice, but I made a case for why Bitcoin might be important in the future.
Yeah.
And why it's important right now.
I loved how you had different venues for your videos. Like, there's this one where he's like at a construction site, and there's like big trucks moving around in the background.
Right. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good at it.
It's fun. I mean, I love what you're doing. I notice you seem creating a lot of content, talking to the audience on Instagram, and it's a great skill to have, just being good on camera, being able to connect with an audience.
Me and Todd were having such a good laugh about that. Years ago, we were sitting in our civil procedure class at St. Mary's Law School. Would we ever have thought we're going to need to use this platform to get messages out? It was the last thing we could have imagined.
No, when Facebook came out, I was at Texas Tech, and I thought, this is stupid. Why would I want to?
What a waste of time.
Why would I want to reconnect with people from high school? I left those people on purpose.
Yes, that resonated with me so much. Yeah. Wow.
And if I am friends with you from high school, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody else.
Right.
Of course.
Crazy times.
Shannon, tell us more about why you think that maybe TikTok is a good or at least the way to make videos. Why is that important for us to keep sharing with the community?
Well, I think that people, for better or for worse, I don't want to put a judgment commentary on there. Maybe we're just so busy. We're not really reading anymore like we should be. I mean, journalism is something that is a really kind of a fabric of our society, but people aren't really reading as much. Print media is a little bit on the decline, and I don't agree with that. I don't condone that. But if you can grab somebody's attention, that first 3 seconds, then that might be all that you have. That might be all that you get. So you have to, if you have a message you want to get out, like, for example, I'm trying to be really positive and encourage people and be uplifting. There's so much negative out there.
Yeah.
I just have like that, if I have to do a silly dance, if I have to jump at the camera, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I put my...
Video is becoming a more important medium of communication.
Yeah.
As an attorney, sometimes I think people hire me just because I know how to read.
Oh, wow.
Like, please read this for me.
What a great perspective.
And tell me what it says.
I was framing all mine as a little bit negative, but that is actually good for the legal profession if we have skills that people don't have any, like it lifts up the legal profession.
Well, back in the olden days, people didn't know how to read. And so the whole will reading ceremony came about because somebody had to read the will to these people because they couldn't read it themselves.
So interesting. This is why I love talking with you.
Yeah.
Really cool perspective.
So if you need a will read or written, you can call Marquardt Law Firm at 210-530-4278, or just go to marquardtlawfirm.com and you can chat with someone online.
Yeah, excellent. Nailed it.
Yeah, so Joseph, I want you to have an opportunity to tell people how to find you. How can you help?
Yeah, you can find me. The name of my company is our company, me and my father and my brother, is Financial Planning HQ. And you can find me all over social media, just searching the name Joseph D. Warren. If you're in San Antonio, you can search me. It'll have our office address. We actually have an office in the same building as you, Shannon.
Right. Love that building.
If you want to give me a call, can I say my phone number on the 210-748-6699. Have any financial questions? Happy to talk through it with you.
Operators are standing by.
Yeah.
Well, how are you different?
Why
would they want to call you?
A long time ago, we found out something which I think was very powerful, which is that in the future, which is now, people are going to want comprehensive financial planning, not just investment management, not just an insurance salesperson, but somebody who's going to look at the full picture, because everything's related, right? So your investments affect your taxes affect your goals. And because it's related, you need a comprehensive strategy that looks at everything to help you make the best decision. So I think we aligned our incentives with that, with how we get paid and everything, so we can really truthfully give our clients the best advice. So
you don't sell things.
We sell financial plans, but we're not transactional. We want to work with our clients for life, a select number of clients for each planner. And I believe that's the best way to do business. That's why we're doing it. Of course, I wouldn't want to work any other way. So I think for financial advice, that's the best way to do it.
So
so relational.
If somebody needs life insurance or they need to invest in their IRA, where do you fit in that?
We give the advice on if you should do it, and then we help you to do it.
Okay.
So we'll help you get insurance, license for insurance and all that. But usually I delegate it, so I don't even get the commission because we only want to get paid for financial planning. That's it. So
you refer them to other planners? To
an insurance broker.
Okay.
Who that's all they do.
Okay.
And same with investments. We have people who that's all they do is investments. So they're like CFAs, like the highest level of investment expertise you can have in terms of credentialing. And they help us, in coordination with us, they look at their goals and help us come up with an allocation. And we help them invest it and automate it and create systems around that.
Shannon, how do people find you?
Oh, Shannon Roberta San Antonio on Instagram is mostly where I am, and I have a little thing in my bio. Do you have like a minimum, like a minimum financial? Can anyone come to you? Or?
Do they need to have a certain amount of money?
Thank you for translating my mutterings into English.
I don't believe in that. To afford the fee to work with us, you probably have to have a certain amount of money. But I don't believe in having to have a certain amount of money. It's basically, it depends. I mean,
You have to call.
Okay, good answer.
I don't want to stop anyone from calling because even if someone can't work with us, I know like they're deeply in debt, they don't have enough income coming in. We still want to have that first meeting with them to help them create that vision.
Love
and if 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road, they get to where they get on solid ground, then we'll work with them.
All right, well, we have to end the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.